Run it right back, son.
Ain't nothing but standing by. Come on. All right. That was nice. All right, ready to go?
Yeah, whenever you are.
Thank you, everybody, for holding in. Let's get this bad boy started here. And we are live and trying to avoid copyright infringement. So
Don't sue us, Bruce.
if you're tuning in, thank you. Sorry, I think we had some trouble. We actually went live for like 5 minutes and we were kind of running through. And then
Yeah,
I'm
so
like,
hopefully we got this down now. You can run right through it.
It's never easy. You know what I mean? We never get through here. But we got it going on now. Thank you for coming on. The UFC's holding their big annual 4th
International
of July.
Fight Week?
Yeah, big 4th of July card coming up next week, or this upcoming Saturday, I guess, if you consider Sunday the new week. So we got a ton of exciting fights. But first, we're going to run over just some new news and notes around the league, and then we'll kind of go into, or I don't know why I said kind of, we will go into the main event. So, Sean, why don't you
So obviously, kicking us
off?
off. What's coming up later in the show? You're probably wondering and asking. What does John Jones need to do to get by the Brazilian powerhouse Thiago Santos? We will talk about that later. Does Amanda Nunes solidify herself as the MMA GOAT? Not just women, but MMA, all of MMA, with a win over former 135-pound champion Holly Holm. Does a Ben Askren hype train come to an end against Jorge Gamebred Masvidal? That is coming up later, but a few quick hitters before we get into that. Jose Aldo, former featherweight champion, has signed an 8-fight deal with the UFC. More of an extension, I wouldn't say a fight deal. An 8-fight extension. After talks of moving over to boxing, he has now 9 fights left with the UFC under contract with the Zuffa company. Ryan, big favorite of yours. It's got to really excite you.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to me. He seemed like he really had his head set on like leaving the UFC. He wanted to make his last 2 fights. I don't know if someone changed his mind. Like, hey, this is it for you. If you leave, you leave. Especially if you go sign in a new promotion. So I don't know what it was, but it's a little crazy. I mean, he's still young, obviously still great. So
I expect to move to 155 for the former 145 king. A
Yeah.
lot of fights up there for him.
Yeah, and I think that would kind of reinvent himself. He doesn't have to make those.
I'd expect some
weight
news
cuts.
coming out soon for him for a fight announcement after a new deal.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So
But-
moving on from that, Henry Cejudo, 125 and 135-pound champion, has called out boxing great and current pound-for-pound king Vasily Lomachenko. This is coming after the Paulie Malignaggi and Artem Lobov fight, where Artem had won in a bare-knuckle boxing fight. The king of cringe doing what he does best, isn't he?
making you cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wants to fight a guy with how many amateur fights did Lomachenko have?
Over 300.
Yeah, he had like 300 or 400
He maybe lost 2.
amateur boxing matches, and now how many pro boxing matches does he have at
I
this
think
point?
he's in the 10 to 12 range, I think. He hasn't had a ton of pro boxing fights, but everybody's widely considering him as pound for pound.
Yeah, if you ever
the
watch any
upper.
videos on just his, I mean, you've shown me so many.
Footwork, just technique is out of this world. He's able to dominate guys by just pressuring them and not getting hit, which is insane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially at a light class.
Yeah, that guy's insane.
But keeping with MMA, Huge fight announcement. Robbie Lawler will now be fighting Colby Covington August 3rd in Newark, New Jersey. That is the main event of a fight night. This is huge news because a lot of people thought Colby Covington would get the first crack at the new 175-pound champion, Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, and I heard Kamaru was saying, too, that Colby screwed it up or something and that he was desperate for a fight.
I heard that Kamaru he needs surgery or something.
If he did, I didn't know that. I just know that Kamaru was like, he screwed up. He hasn't fought in over a year, and now he needs to make some money because he's been out of the game, or he's been,
I think it's a little
pretty stagnant.
A little bit of both of that, but yeah. So if you hear it from Colby, he will say he's defending his interim welterweight championship. But most people will just tell you this is a fun 5-round fight. That probably most people are rooting for Robbie, but. Moving on from that, we had a great fight night last night. Free card on ESPN in Minneapolis. Alonzo Menifield, former Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series winner, had a first-round knockout over Paul Craig. Good to see that that Contender Series is still producing top prospects. Drew Dober with a first-round knockout over Marco Polo Reyes. Fun fight to watch. Joseph Benavidez. At a weird point of his career, he's kind of reignited now with a new champion in his weight class. Gets a second-round knockout over Jusamir Formiga, puts him right at the top of the list. Does he get the shot over Aljamain Sterling? We will find out, obviously, in time.
Yes, and scroll back down real quick. I wanted to just make a comment on that Roosevelt Roberts. Everybody I know, he's a huge prospect.
He was another Contender Series guy.
Yeah, and he ran against a tough opponent last night and lost in a decision. Lightweight's so stacked, but...
It's just full of killers. Even unranked guys are just absolute savages.
Yeah, and he didn't get stopped. I mean, it was a 3-round decision that he lost, but I know that's kind of a big hit to the lightweight division just because they're looking for young prospects always coming up. Not that it's not busy enough at the top there, but always young guys.
I'll tell you who didn't take a hit, the heavyweight division, because Francis Ngannou, ever since his lackluster performance against Derek Lewis, has been on a tear. He's looked like the guy that everybody thought he was. Knocking out Junior Dos Santos in the first round, calling for a title fight. It's well-deserved. Will he get a rematch with Stipe, or will he be fighting Daniel Cormier? Highly doubt it'll be Cormier that he fights, but he's in line for the next title shot, I believe.
And another one where it's like, dude, stay your lane, because Junior Dos Santos, love the guy, but he was talking about calling out Deontay Wilder. Oh, my God.
I think it just goes to show that a lot of these guys are just looking to make some money.
Yeah.
Some quick money.
I know. So, yeah, he was going to call out Wilder, if he said he won that fight. But it's like, stay your line, man. Sometimes you just got to stay where you belong. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's unfortunate for Dos Santos. He's in his late 30s. So, luckily he's going to probably stay in the top 10 easily because, heavyweight's kind of shallow. But
he's a guy who will put on fun fights. He'll always stay around in the UFC.
Yeah.
So let's move on to UFC 230. Or I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. Expect some more news coming this weekend. Usually, if these big cards, especially International Fight Week, they like to do big press conferences for upcoming big fights. They do big announcements. So we'll have any big announcements for you in the reaction video. But expect some more stuff to come out here in the next week. But that will take us into UFC 239. So before we get into the main card, we have a couple fights that we think are fun on the prelims. One on the early prelim, one on the main prelim. So we'll start with the early prelim. Edmund Shabazian fighting Jack Marshman. Edmund is 9-0, 8 knockouts so far.
Yeah, he's a good prospect. Obviously, middleweight is always desperate for contenders.
Well, middleweight's been having a lot of young talent. They've had a lot of infusion of new talent. So it's a fun division. It's awesome to watch. They're at a good blend of size, speed, strength, technical ability. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always like. I've always said I think between welterweight and then light heavyweight, you just have the best athletes typically because they're bigger guys.
I think welterweight and middleweight has the best potential for athletes.
Yeah, because as soon as you start getting too heavy, guys start getting slow. They start to slow down. Technique goes away. But then when you go with the lighter divisions, typically you don't have a lot of knockouts.
The cool thing between welterweight and middleweight, the reson I think that too is because usually those guys are basically the same size. It's more just a weight difference between the height and length. Yeah. So it's you get a little bit slower, but you get more power, so you get a lot in there.
Robert Whitaker is a good example of that, former welterweight turn middleweight champ. So, but anyways, so that's
a fun fight to watch on the early prelims if you have Fight Pass, but if you don't, oh well, because on the main prelim, headlining the ESPN free fights, Gilbert Melendez is taking on Arnold Allen. That should be a fun barn burner of a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't watched Arnold Allen a lot, but I've heard, I've read his stuff, kept up with him. So, I mean, it's a good.
I've seen him fight a couple of times. He's game. He's game
Yeah.
for a fight. You know Gilbert's game.
Yeah,
Gilbert's
he's
going to come and
always
bring
game.
it. So,
I know
one disappointing news. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh,
We can
no, go ahead.
backtrack a little bit
No,
after this.
you're good.
Sean O'Malley was popped again. He got popped last October for an illegal substance. It was deemed
A tainted
supplement. There you go. Thank you. I was looking for the words. So not necessarily at fault, but they can't let him perform with that stuff in his system, and it's showing up again, similar to the John Jones situation, if any of you know what that is. So Marlon Chito Vera has been kind of waiting for an opponent. They have him still listed on the card. I don't think they'll get anybody in time.
No,
they're running out of time.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't.
It's not
think
that big of a fight to get.
It's Marlon Vera's not a big enough guy. I mean, unless they think that they might potentially lose another fight on this card, they might fill it in because Marlon Vera's, name that
I don't know if they have. They do have another bantamweight bout on the prelims, so maybe if one of those guys don't make weight, they'll have Marlon Vera obviously step in.
Yeah.
So.
It's unfortunate to hear that, and especially to your point too, you just never know with the commission and what they're going to do. And they said that they had to get together and make a vote and all that stuff, and I think it was too early to guarantee this fight on the card. So it's rough to see that.
You hate to see it because Sean O'Malley's a young guy. He's shown a lot of promise. He's a fun guy. He talks a lot. He has an exciting fight style, and you just don't want to see it ruined because a supplement company, they're not doing their due diligence of who's making their product, because the third party who's making this, they could be making all types of stuff. They could be making steroids right before they're making their batch of clean stuff, and then it's all mixed in, but sometimes it ruins a young fighter.
But sometimes the thing is, like, I think people have this misconception that it is that, but sometimes it's just an ingredient, or it's something that would trigger a hormone in your body that isn't necessarily an anabolic substance, but it does trigger the tests, the blood, the tests that you take, so that way it's the same indicators as if you were taking an anabolic substance. But I think the thing that bothers me here is if the commission had already determined that this was from a tainted supplement, it's not a repeat thing. It's lingering. Yeah,
like the John Jones, like the picogram situation is lingering.
Right, and that's kind of where my questions fall.
I think that's where a lot of people are. They're like, well, because they're obviously not going to move the card to LA for one guy on the prelims, but if it's a lingering thing, if you're going to do it for John, you got to do it for everyone, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's upsetting to hear, but you know what? I'm sure if the commission gives him the go ahead, then we'll see him again soon.
Hopefully, we will see him get a quick turnaround. I'm sure they'll get that fight put on another card here soon. Yeah, since they've both been in camp, they're both ready to go. I'm sure they'll get him somewhere toward the end of the month, early August. Yeah. But let's move to the main card, and we'll start with Diego Sanchez versus Michael Chiesa. A quick note on Diego Sanchez: he's leaving Jackson Wink after years of being with one of the top camps in the entire world. Kind of citing that he's not getting enough work with the coaches on the mitts. I could see that huge camp, tons of UFC and Bellator talent on that roster. So I could see that not everybody may be getting the same attention, especially a vet that's on his way out.
Yeah, and this is, would you kind of call it a trend? Because Cowboy just left there too, saying pretty much reiterating the same thing, saying that he wasn't getting enough attention.
It's kind of funny the timing of this that you mentioned that, because I'm pretty sure Diego was a big supporter of Jackson Wink when all that stuff was going down. Well, that was just a year ago.
Yeah, and that's still his camp. That was still his camp at the time. Sometimes it just takes a little bit to open up your eyes and be like, all right, there is something wrong here. I mean, Cowboy made the point that because they're running it so much like a business, like we're talking about Jackson, who at one point wanted to give MMA a belt system. Yeah. I mean,
well, it wasn't Jackson that was the problem. It's Winklejohn that was cited the problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it's a full gym problem, especially when you have somebody with with the name recognition like Diego Sanchez. But my point is, I know that they're running a business, but when you commit to training a fighter, especially one
pro fighters,
pro fighters,
high world class,
and not to mention, where's your loyalty at?
I mean, this is the camp that trains the greatest talent in the world, John Jones, who's fighting later on this card, and Holly Holm. Yeah. But if you look at that, now that I mentioned that, you look at that from Diego's point, they're training two people who are fighting for a world title. They're going to spend a lot of time on me.
Yeah, but the other thing too, though, is he said that this isn't something that's new, though.
Okay, well, yeah, I can see.
He said that this has been an ongoing trend, and I think especially going into this fight, where he's fighting somebody that's kind of trying to reinvent his career in Michael Chiesa. I don't know. I think it's worrisome. I don't like it.
This could be the fall of a big camp.
Yeah, I don't think it'll necessarily be a fall, but
it could open up people. I should say
it could open up problems.
They could not get a new wave of talent. They could kind of just stick with what they have, and that could let them die out. From there.
Because one of the other problems too, like I think that Cowboy was talking about, is that it's messed up that they have these people that they're bringing into the camps, again, people that are paying a crap load of money to come in. It can be any Joe Schmo, and the problem is that they're rolling with some of these high caliber fighters like the Donald Cerrones, the Holly Holmes. And I thought Cowboy made a great point, is you got like this regular guy, he's maybe having a few local pro fights, he just spent a bunch of money to come to Jackson Wing. He gets one day to roll with Holly Holm or something, like he's going to go hard. He could hurt Holly, as opposed to when you're training with somebody that you're used to training with and you're taking your time.
Somebody they could take care of you. They could help you work.
Right, yeah, because if
they have your best interest in mind as much as theirs. It's not.
Yeah, John Smith is going to come in. He's like, this is going to be the only time in my life that I'm going to get a role. This might be the only time in my life I'm going to get a role with somebody this high caliber. Like, I want to submit. I want to take that, away with me. This might be my only story to do that. Same thing with, could you imagine with sparring too? Like,
yeah, I'm sure.
Like, let's go easy. Let's go 50%. And then, they lose control. So I don't know. I don't like it, but I won't spend any more time on it.
Yes, let's get into the actual matchup itself over Michael
absolutely.
Chiesa. He's a, jiu-jitsu guy moving up to welterweight. Kind of fits, at least his body type. He fits the welterweight mold.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he looks like the same body that Diego Sanchez of old looked like. But I mean, he's a brawler. He just likes going out there.
He'll make it a
crazy.
fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He loves making it.
Chiesa's not the kind of guy that dominates, so Diego will have moments in this fight. I don't know. I don't really know where I see this going. I've been thinking about this one for a while.
I honestly don't know. I mean, you're talking about Diego Sanchez, who's had 40 pro fights in the UFC,
coming off a couple big wins too.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's up and down. I mean, if we look back at,
if you look back, he's got all sorts of random wins and losses.
I mean, he's on a 2-fight win streak right now. But I mean, he lost to. I mean, the people that he's lost to are names like, look at this: Matt Brown, Ally Aquina, Joe Lozon, Ricardo Lamas. I mean, he's
Miles
lost
Jury,
to
Gilbert Melendez, Jake Ellenberger. It's not like he loses to just no names. Those are usually the ones he wins, but this ain't no name. So
yeah, and I think it's just going to be whoever can instill their will on the other in this fight. I know you.
If Chiesa can keep some kind of distance.
Chiesa's going to be looking to take this to the mat, I think, personally. Because he's a submission guy. Yeah, he doesn't have any knockouts or TKOs. I mean, I could see him getting one of those eventually just by ground and pound. But he's definitely a taller fighter. Interesting enough, Diego, I think, is like 5'10". He is, but he has the longer reach, which I think is very interesting. But that he likes to just brawl and throw hands. So I don't know. This one I think is definitely going to depend on who can instill their will. Diego, I think, is going to try and make this an ugly fight like he always does. He's going to hit him. He's going to hit him hard. He's going to hit him, throw a bunch of punches. He's going to miss a lot of punches, and he's going to land a lot of punches. But
so what do you think? Who do you think's winning?
I'm going to have to go with Chiesa.
I think so too. It's always hard to pick Diego. You just never know what you're going to get. This is a toss up. You can flip a coin.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I thought Chiesa looked really strong in his welterweight debut against Carlos Condit.
But you also don't know where Condit's been. He hasn't looked great.
No, but
in his last few fights.
But would you say that like an older, war-torn Condit is probably still better than Diego Sanchez?
Absolutely, 100%.
And probably stronger too.
Yes.
So to see Chiesa go back and see him manhandle him that way, I'm like,
this actually has pretty big differentials on the odds.
Yeah, go ahead and read those.
So Chiesa is a minus 340 and Diego Sanchez is a plus 280. I'm kind of surprised at that just because you never know with Diego.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I might throw some money at Diego. I might throw $10 on that.
Yeah, Chiesa is a huge underdog in this one. I'm kind of surprised, but I don't know. I'm that one's kind of surprising to me as well. But again, I think that this one and I hate to say this because you do hear this a lot, but I think it is going to be whoever instills their game plan on this one, just because I think they're going to have.
Yeah, it's it's a little bit of a cop out to kind of say it, but it's hard just because you just don't know.
Dude, I mean, we're talking like polar opposite strategies.
If Chiesa was a striker, I'd say Chiesa, but
yeah. His stand up can get sloppy.
If he's gonna close the distance with grappling, Diego's gonna make it dirty.
And the thing is, again, going back to his 40 pro fights in the UFC, he's seen everybody.
He has.
So he knows all the tricks. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. My gut would go with Chiesa.
That's me too.
Yeah. So
let's move on to the next one. Interesting fight. I don't think there's a lot of hype around it, but it's Jan Blachowicz is welcoming Luke Rockhold to 205.
Yeah, this one is interesting because we haven't seen Rockhold fight in a while. In a while.
Yeah, emphasize on the W.
Yeah, that's why I did that.
But yeah, Luke, glass chin Luke Rockhold. Better hope that this lesser weight cut adds a little vitality to him.
Hey, you know what? I think that we've seen some examples like
Robert Whittaker has been one of those guys.
Well, even in this division, we've seen the
Anthony
guy
Smith, Thiago Santos.
We've seen two guys that
this is what prompted him to move to 205.
Probably. So
all right, to me, because I think you're picking Rockhold, right? I think you would pick Rockhold. No,
nope.
I'm picking Rockhold.
Are you really?
Yeah.
All right.
He's the more skillful fighter, more tools. I mean, I think he's the more athletic guy. I don't see Blachowicz offering too much for him as long as Rockhold keeps his chin down, and if the weight cut is more friendly to him than it was at middleweight, I think he'll be able to take a couple more shots. Yeah. I don't think Blachowicz is necessarily a dangerous fighter, so I think this is a good matchup for Rockhold to ease into 205. Because I was going to ask you, does he get a title fight against John after this?
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's what I thought too. I thought this was basically to warm him up for John.
Yeah, whoever wins this one. Yeah, because, I mean, I get what you're saying with Blachowicz because he's kind of like one of those, he's in the top 5, I think, or is he ranked number 6, I believe? What is he? I know he was like right up there.
Number 6.
Okay, so he's number 6. So he's like one of those top 5, 6 guys, but he's not like, I don't know.
He's a decently well-rounded fighter, but he doesn't stand out in anything.
I think what I was trying to say was, like, if you look at the light heavyweight division and there was a lot more contenders, he wouldn't be in that top 10.
He would not.
But that's the problem with the light heavyweight division.
And that's why Luke Rockhold's moving up.
Yeah, you have guys like Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos who won 2 or 3 in a row, and they're like, title shot because we need people.
Guys who are journeymen at middleweight.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, I think Blachowicz, I mean, he's coming off... He's had a couple fights. He had a tough go with Thiago Santos. But then again, I mean, he's also fighting for the title tonight or that night. So, but I think he's well-rounded. He's strong. He offers quite a bit in the stand-up, and he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So
Rockhold's grappling's underrated.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like, Rockhold is 100%.
I think his cardio and his vitality, I think he'll have a little bit more life. Yeah. At 205. Because we've talked about this many times in the last year with all these guys moving up. It just adds a little extra energy to them, man. They just look fresh. They look so much better. So I'm picking the guy moving up.
Yeah. I was going to say that was one of my concerns with Rockhold is he just hasn't looked fresh. And you know what I said? And I don't know if you remember we talked about this. Like, he started looking a little rough. Him and Weidman looked terrible in their title fight.
They look like they're not aging in the division well.
You know what? I don't think that was a coincidence. That was after the Nevada State Athletic Commission banned IVs after weigh-ins.
And, that goes, Weidman's moving up. So,
yeah. So, I think, I kind of think that was case in point. But anyways, yeah, I think that him having this life here, I don't know. But then again, it's also been a while since he had a fight with Yoel, and Yoel manhandled him and finished him.
No. Right. Yoel took him for a walk in the park like he was his son.
And then left him there. Left him in the park.
So, I love you, but you're not mine. You're no son of mine. I love you.
I love it because that's what he sounds like too. Yoel is a terrifying man. I love that guy. I don't know. Rockhold, if you look back at his last 3 fights, he's been knocked out in 2 of those 3 fights.
Yeah. And he almost got knocked out in the other one.
Yeah, and I mean, what was it? Almost a year since his fight with Yoel, and then I think it was a year before. Well, no, actually, it probably wasn't that long since he fought David Branch before that, which was his last win, and then before that was when he lost to Michael Bisping, and that was a while ago. So I don't know. This is I think the thing is I think Jan's going to come in there. He's not going to have the ring rust. He's going to be used to the weight. He's going to be used to fighting guys at that size, and. But then again, now that I'm saying that, Luke also does train with
Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez and Khabib Nurmagomedov. So.
All right, fair enough. I'm still going with Jan, though. I think he's a great all-around fighter, and I think that he's going to...
I think great is a very kind word to use.
Yeah, all right.
All right, we'll move on.
I will say, though, he does have win. If you look at some of his last wins, Nikita Krylov, great prospect there.
I wouldn't say great. He's a prospect, but I don't... Everybody's beating Jamie Manuwa.
Yeah, that's true. He did have a win against Jamie Manuwa.
Well, I'm sorry. Everybody's knocked out Jamie Manuwa. He took him to the decision. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say Jan definitely isn't a finisher.
Jared Cannonier has found life at 185, actually moving down. He was undersized at middleweight.
Dude fought at heavyweight.
Yeah.
That's insane. But anyways, yeah. And I don't want to give Jared Cannonier the Silva win because it looked like Silva blew out his knee or something. But anyways, so I don't know. I'm going to have to go with Jan on this one because I think that he doesn't have the ring rust. He's an all-around fighter. Luke's an all-around fighter. And I don't think Luke finishes people either.
Yeah.
His stand-up's cleaner, though.
Yeah,
like he does.
More, I think he's I think he's better everywhere in the game than Jan.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So, all right, let's go on to... Oh, and by the way, if anybody's watching us on Twitch right now or if you want to go ahead and vote as well, we have some Twitch polls going up.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so we can check those out at the end of the show after we make our picks. You guys can give us your picks as well.
Let us know if one of us is a dumbass or both of us are a dumbass.
Mostly both of us.
Mostly both of us. We usually have the same picks, so...
Except for that one, which is nice. But anyways, all right.
I don't know if we'll have different opinions on this because I got opinions on this next one. This is my favorite matchup that's been announced for the year so far. Jorge Masvidal is taking on Ben Askren. I love this fight. You know why I love this fight? Because Ben Askren is this corny white dude from the Midwest, stereotypical. He's a wrestler, got the dad bod and everything. You got Jorge Masvidal out of Miami. This is what I like to say about Jorge Masvidal. There's guys who don't give a fuck, and then there's Jorge Masvidal. You're talking about the top level of savage, ruthless motherfuckers. You got Jorge Masvidal right there.
I love the guy. I think he's become a fan favorite recently too. Just with the, he's really reinvigorated his career. I think lately, especially a welterweight. Mm-hmm. He's looked fantastic. So, he's looked good. I shouldn't say fantastic. He's looked really good. I think considering when you look at his career.
I thought he looked fantastic against Darren Till.
Yeah, I think Darren Till didn't think so, but but the other thing too is
Masvidal. He's one of those guys. He needs the opponent to get him up.
Yeah. He's just a journeyman guy. I think that's just well rounded. He's had a ton of fights. I think he's had over 40 pro fights, which I think is going to be perfect for fighting a guy like Ben. And his stand-up's pretty good. He's obviously had a rough go. He's fought the who's who, though. I mean, between lightweight and welterweight, he's fought Benson Henderson.
I feel like he's starting to hit his, which is weird because in MMA you usually don't hit your stride later in your career, but I feel like he's starting to really hit his peak.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially if he wins this one.
Because you figure after he lost to Wonder Boy, which was a really tough fight for him, he took a while off. He did the reality show. He said that it was great for him because he was able to stay away. He didn't have his phone. He was able just to spend time with himself on an island. It was basically like vacation for him. He got to do athletic things, stay in shape. Mm-hmm. It kind of reinvigorated him, gave him a little bit of life. Then he comes back with a young killer like Darren Till, a fight that he knows he has to get up for. I think Masvidal he's peaking a little bit here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I mean, if you go back and look at his record, I mean, granted, yes, he did lose to Stephen Thompson. And I
don't think that's any slouch, though.
No. I mean, obviously, that's
for an undersized guy, too.
Yeah, and that's a two-time welterweight title contender.
Yeah.
I mean, if Woodley wasn't there, you could argue Stephen Thompson would have been holding that belt. But Thompson was fighting his perfect kryptonite, I think, in that regard.
Yeah.
But and then he lost to Damian Maia as well. But both of those were decisions, so it's not like he got creamed before that.
I think he's only been finished once.
Yeah, and I mean he fought Cerrone, Ellenberger, Pearson. So he's had some great fights lately. And especially when you're fighting a one-dimensional guy like Ben Askren, who's not going to offer anything in the stand-up.
Because this is why I think Masvidal is going to win. I'm picking Masvidal because I saw what Robbie did. And as much as I love Robbie's on the back end of his career. Masvidal is a little bit more ruthless. He's a little bit faster. I think he's a little bit – I don't know if he's a little bit stronger. But he's cleaner in his technique. His boxing, if you watch his boxing, it's top-notch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if he gets Ben hurt, he's going to be in some serious fucking trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like what he was with Robbie. I think even though Robbie smashed him, I think Masvidal could take him into some deeper waters.
Yeah. I think to your point too, his cardio is going to be there. Like we saw Robbie gas a little bit there in that first round. I don't know. Maybe that was just because he's picking him up and hitting him so much.
Yeah,
and then
maybe a little bit of adrenaline dump.
Yeah, and hats off to Askren, who's just got a chin on him.
He survived it. He did.
But I think Jorge's a really athletic dude too.
I think he's as well-rounded as anybody in that division.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, to your point though, I think that this is just a fun fight, man.
Like the one thing that I loved watching Masvidal do in the Darren Till fight. I don't know if it would work on Askren as much because he's a wrestler. But you saw him shoot for some single legs. Like as soon as he touched the leg, he kind of come up with combos, help him close distance. I don't know if he'd be willing to do that against a wrestler. But just the way he had chaotic entries, the way he entered and started his combos, it was very creative, very chaotic. If he could fool a creative striker like Darren Till, what do you think he's going to do against a guy like Ben Askren?
Yeah, but then again, everyone's you just have some guys that just their wrestling is just next level, top notch.
That's what, I wouldn't bet money on this fight. If you put a gun in my head, I'd say Ben Askren's going to win this fight.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, it is aggressive. Well, we're getting aggressive.
Who do you pick in this welterweight matchup?
You're talking, all right, so we're getting aggressive talking about people fighting each other?
No, I'm just saying, your particular scenario where someone's going to come up and make you pick the third fight on a pay-per-view.
I'm just saying, my life depended on it. I'm picking Ben. I'm picking the wrestler. But my life doesn't depend on this, and my heart's in it, so I'm picking Masvidal. 305, baby.
Fair enough. Yeah, I know. South Florida, dude. Just much like us, too. So, no, I think I'm in the same boat where I said my heart's with Jorge, but I don't
hate Ben either. I feel like this is coming off as me giving some Ben hate. I actually like Ben Askren.
Oh, he's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, he's fun. I love Ben Askren. Yeah. I just don't love him fighting Masvidal because I like Masvidal more. So.
Yeah, I think Ben's going to have to show us something a little different. He made the mistake with Robbie and just going in straight and trying to bear hug him. And
that's what I'm saying. Though he tries to do that with Jorge Masvidal. He uses more movement. He's a little bit more creative than Robbie. He's more technical. I think he hits him with that 3-piece and a soda. If he tries just reaching out and trying to close the distance like that, he's going to have to use some creative shots and entries.
All right, cool. So how about we talk about it, man? Oh, what's the odds on this one? I don't think we talked about the odds.
Actually, I'm glad you asked because I looked up and they were pretty substantial, I believe. Oh, actually not that bad. Ben Askren's a minus 225. Masvidal's a plus 185.
Yeah, so this is pretty close to by their standards as well.
Yeah.
By Vegas' standards. All right, so give me your pick. Who you going with on this one?
I got Masvidal. I think he's going to knock him out in the first round.
Damn.
I'm going bold. I think he has to do it first round because I think later he does it. Even though he does.
It's only 3 rounds though.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but wrestlers, man, especially
they can wear you out.
Especially a guy like that, he doesn't let people up. So
he's suffocating. I'm actually going Ben on this one.
I think it's a safe pick. I think you're a bitch.
I am. I'm actually going Ben on this one. I just think that guys like him find a way. I mean, he's made it in his whole career finding a way to get guys to the mat into deep waters. It would not
surprise me the least bit.
Yeah,
if he just fucked them for 3 rounds, 50 minutes, if he just dominated them in the wrestling.
I honestly
that'd be the least surprising thing that'd happen.
Yeah, and I honestly think that guys like him could be DC. They find a way. I think he's that caliber of fighter.
They have that card they can pull.
Yeah,
that's just it's so consistent and it's so dominant.
And it's a weird thing too, because like I think Dana doesn't like Ben Askren because of their history, and he doesn't want him to fight for a title. But at the same time, you want him to fight for a title.
I actually think he's over that. When you watch the little interactions, I think he's starting to like Ben because he realizes that he can sell a fight.
Yeah.
People want to see him fight. That's all Dana cares about. He cares about the business. He wants to see people get excited about fights.
Yeah,
so they spend their money.
Could you imagine him and Colby?
Even Kamaru, well, yeah, more him and Colby. Colby would put on a show at a press conference.
Yeah, because, I mean, I like Kamaru, and I hope that he beats Colby whenever they match up, but Kamaru's like a very respectable, nice, quiet guy. The UFC doesn't want that. They want the guys that are going to sell
brash guys.
Pay-per-views, and Colby and Ben would sell pay-per-views. Man.
Yeah.
That'd be
very entertaining.
That would be like a Q1 2020
you might as well put McGregor and Diaz on the same card.
Oh my God, I couldn't even.
And you could just have the most fun shit talking of your life.
That would be fantastic. That'd be right up there with that Mayweather Conor fight. Too.
Yeah, just have
both of those guys.
If you had them tour the world talking shit, that'd be just as good as the fight itself.
Oh my God, that's funny. So that's going to be a great matchup, though. I think that I'm excited for this one. This whole card is great from top to bottom as far as at least the main card goes. So. But yeah, all right, cool. We got our picks. We went over that. So our Vegas picks.
I like it. We're picking different fights. This is good. We'll have different vested interests next Saturday. I like it. I love it.
For sure. So let's move on to the next one. We got our first of two championship fights.
You don't get too excited for women's fights often, but every now and again, a fight comes along. It gets a little bit of blood flowing. Amanda Nunes versus Holly Holmes for the 135-pound title. Gets you pretty excited. It's a great warm-up. To me, this is the second most intriguing fight on the card behind the one that we just talked about.
I have two things to talk about. One, your voice just sounded like you were the radio host for a smooth jazz station, like that's late at night, like, we are about to move into the sexiest fight on this card. I'm not complaining. I sounded fantastic.
I didn't want to tell you this live on the air, but I'm kind of just practicing for my big moment to leave you.
Oh, shit. Damn. That hurts. So anybody else that wants to come on live? No, I'm just kidding. It sounded great, though. I'm just saying, like, you move the right way in front of the mic, because I think usually you're so far away. You just move the perfect way in front of it. And I was just like... We're
getting comfortable here. This is... Do you know what number show this is for us?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. That's actually a good question. Watch out. Your mic's about to fall off there. Yeah,
yeah, whoever set this up.
Stop staring at me. I do feel like that. I mean, we've been going for over 6 months now. We're moving into our 7th month. We're starting
to find our groove a little bit here.
Yeah, we are. I know, a little bit. And then number 2, I always love pointing it out, but because I always say the UFC, as much as I love watching their fights, I love the fighters, they're just technical side as far as whoever runs the website and their UFC Fight Pass, it's horrendous because Amanda Nunes is the number 6 ranked fighter at the women's bantamweight title bout according to UFC.com.
That's where I put her in the bantamweight rankings. You would put her number 6? In all seriousness, she probably hasn't been the 6th ranked fighter in 4 or 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing that bothers me the most. She's been a champ.
Wait, no. Is that number 4 at featherweight?
No, women. No, because she's only had one fight at featherweight, so this has got to be her. Because they don't update it.
Champions could be number 4.
I guess so, man. I guess if you look at Ben Askren, number
maybe somebody had a lot of money on Cyborg knocking her out, and they got upset.
They just put her at number 6.
Like, fuck you, Amanda.
Oh, by the way, funny conversation because when Ben made his debut, the big joke was that he still had the grayed out fighter logo on the UFC.com website. Well, guess what? That's only at face value. Do they have his face on there? Because once you click into his actual profile on there, still blanked out. It's just like the standard card that I know. I think that's just.
I think it's a running joke because the UFC. I know they clap back at him or something.
Oh my god, that's too funny, man. But yeah. So, anyways, Amanda Nunes, the champion and also the number 6 ranked women's bantamweight title fighter. Is fighting the number 1 contender in Holly Holm.
Congratulations, champ. I know you worked your whole life for that, but you're still number 4.
Number 6, Sean.
Oh, number 6. Sorry.
Not even in the top 5. But
you saw.
This is a great fight, man.
This is a great matchup.
This is going to be a great boxing match.
I I think you get off to a little bit of a slow start. I think you should expect a slow start.
Man, this is my problem with Amanda is she can be super explosive like she was against Ronda and Cyborg. And then she can just come to this standstill like she did against Valentina. I don't know if it's because she respected her so much. I don't know what it is, but she is somebody that I think she'll take her time.
I'm gonna give her the
Holly.
benefit of the doubt in that fight because that's her one boring fight to me that I've watched.
Yeah.
The other fights I've watched, she usually goes for it. So that's her one that I don't know. Maybe sometimes you just have an off night where you just can't seem to pull the trigger.
I think
you just can't find the windows. So I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt on that night. That was maybe just a terrible performance. She's bounced back great. All of her fights since then have been great.
Yeah.
She's looked phenomenal, and she's went for it. She's finished all of her opponents since then.
She throws a lot of power shots. She's going to try and hit you hard. But the one thing I'll say is Cyborg couldn't put Holly Holm away either.
Nope.
And Holly's got the kickboxing experience.
You're not gonna outlast if your game plan is to outlast Holly. That ain't gonna work.
No, absolutely not. Holly always seems to come close. But since she won her title against Ronda, she just hasn't been able to close shop when she lost it against Miesha Tate.
Yeah, she was dominating and just couldn't, like you said, close up shop. Otherwise, we would have this fight a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is a fantastic matchup. This is going to be a great kickboxing match. I would like to see Holly. There's no reason she shouldn't be throwing her kicks because I don't think there's no reason for Amanda to take this down to the ground. So I think that
unless Holly dominates the striking, which I don't see her dominating. I can see her winning the striking, but not dominating.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be a fantastic fight. Yeah, I can't wait.
There's going to be lots of trades. I don't know if either one's going to get a finish. Amanda's had problems in the past with her cardio, but she did go 5 hard rounds with Rick. I shouldn't say hard rounds. It was hard for Pennington, but it wasn't hard for her. But that's always been the big knock on Amanda was her cardio. So we'll see if she's got that in place because you're going to need it because Holly moves a lot.
Yeah, she does. I mean, what else can you even say about Holly? She's fought the who's who.
She's fought everybody. She's fought every women's fighter that's mattered except Gina Carano.
Yeah, that's true. But she came after Gina Carano.
Yeah,
though.
But I'm just saying, as far as the women's MMA.
Oh yeah, landscape.
She's fought every woman that's mattered.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not Kat. Kat Zingano maybe is the only one that she hasn't fought.
Actually, this is the perfect one. Looking back at her last win, which was against Megan Anderson, or do they pronounce it Megan? Right? Megan. They pronounce it Megan, even though it's spelled Megan. I don't know, whatever. But anyways, Megan Anderson, she looked incredible with her takedowns, her ability to change positions. I mean, she looked like a whole different fighter. Like, I think
she was trying to show a new thing to her game.
She was trying to show that she's evolving, which is fantastic. And I think one of the problems,
which is what put her in this title shot, I think, is that it wasn't going to be the same old song and dance for Holly.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at, I think that it's something her and Valentina have done a great job of. Is obviously their respective stand-up champs coming from previous sports like kickboxing, Muay Thai, stuff like that. But that was one of the knocks that we've always had on JJ. Is she never evolved into.
Even before that Megan fight, that was her knock on Holly, is that she always looked the exact same. Yeah. She was always throwing the same combos. She always looked exactly. Her entries were the same. And now against the Megan fight, she started taking her down. She showed a new game.
And I think that just opens up a whole new level for her strike game, because that's the thing is, like, when you have two things to worry about, when you have to worry about whether or not you're going to get taken down, especially if she's able to get Amanda down once and just show that she can threaten you from the top.
I think she's got to not necessarily just take her down. She's got to hold her down for a little bit. She's got to get some damage in or threaten her with submissions to really make Amanda feel threatened.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you do that, when you take someone down and then you show that you can threaten from that top position, if you can make
that
one or two
opens up everything.
Yeah, because then the other person's going to be hesitant in their jabs. They're going to be hesitant in
for a world-class striker. That's everything. That now you have all your tools open.
Exactly. You're going to be the other opponent is going to be hesitant in their
they're going to bite
kicks,
on feints,
stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see that aspect. Like, is she going to take that to the next level? She did great against Megan. Granted, this caliber of fighter is way up from Megan Anderson.
And she can grapple her ass off too. She's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, she does, but I've also seen her struggle a lot historically, like going back. But granted, that has been a long time since she's been on the ground.
I think she usually, when she would get out grappled, is when she got tired.
Yeah. I mean, I would say so, but I've seen her.
Kat
on the bottom.
did ragdoll her pretty good.
Kat did look good against her when she was doing that. But I don't know. It'll be very interesting. That is going to be the thing that I think if you're watching this fight is see if Holly takes this to the next level.
Yeah, that's
like,
a great point. Is seeing if
her...
Holly's grappling can be the difference, can open everything up for her.
I think that would be a huge game changer right there for this fight.
I think that's pretty much her key to victory is she's got to get the grappling going.
Yeah.
Not necessarily she's got to win with the grappling, but it's got to open things up for her.
And then on the other side, what would you say is Amanda Nunes's like key to victory?
Stay on the outside, do what she does best. Land her when you throw your big shots, land them.
I say punches and bunches, especially with those power shots that she throws. Whether that's
I don't even think she has to do bunches
rights.
Because Holly's the one who will do the bunches. I think you just got to make your counters count.
Yeah. Well, when I say bunches, I mean like throwing combos and then exiting. So combo, exit, and she has to finish with those power shots as well, like she does. I
think she has to work the body and legs. Definitely the leg. I think she's definitely gonna have to utilize leg kicks because Holly, she basically, I don't want to say she runs, but she hops around that ring. She's very fast. She's light on her feet. You're gonna have to deaden those legs to keep her at a standstill almost.
I think that it can get a little dangerous for her to do that just because Holly does have such a big background of kickboxing professionally that she's been kicked by, women that have done that for a long time. So, if you want to start...
even if you're just the kind of power that Amanda has...
No, she does, but when you start trading... Because the thing is, if Holly starts taking leg kicks and stuff, she's going to return those. It can go, and then... if anybody has questionable cardio, it's going to be Amanda, not Holly. So, that's just... I don't know. It's a gamble.
But almost
it's a gamble.
If you have questionable cardio, wouldn't you want to kind of deaden your opponent's legs so that they can't move? They can't outmaneuver?
You would if everything was even, but you almost wonder where's Holly's ability to kick somebody and take that defensive kick as opposed to Amanda. You know what I mean? Like, if it's even, if you're fighting somebody at the same level as you historically in that specific aspect of the game, I'm not saying...
I get what you're saying, but if the way I'm looking at it is if Amanda just tries to fight it as just a pure, stand on the outside and let Holly move, and she kind of chases her, can't she get tired doing that? So, if you're going to get tired chasing her, trying to keep up with her, cutting her off and everything... Would you just be better off just trying to cut down the legs so that she's not moving as much and you don't have to move as much?
Yeah, hey, I agree. You're right. You're right. I think on this, like, I don't see Amanda like clinching. Well, I don't see her clinching up. I don't see her taking Holly down and just trying to wear her down that way. So I guess to your point, like when you take everything else out of the equation, that leaves her with kicks. I guess to your point, I guess if she wants to wear her down, you're right. It's going to have to be with those leg kicks. My only question is, how is that going to translate?
Can Holly answer them?
Yeah, which I think she will. If you start throwing those. So just to sum it up, keys to victory, I think for Holly, it's going to be show that evolution in your game.
Agreed.
And then I think for Amanda, hit her with those power shots. Those things have been brilliant lately. I've loved seeing Amanda just like tear
She's
through.
crisp.
Oh my God, yeah, her boxing is super crisp. I think especially watching her against Cyborg was just like, wow. She landed some beautiful shots. Because the thing that I said I loved about that combination that she threw against Cyborg, all those punches landed. So it's not like she was just throwing haymakers.
She wasn't just looking at the ground. She was looking at her target. She was landing
crisp,
it.
Beautiful, great knockout. Put her up against the cage and just finished her. And that's
picked her shot. She picked her shot,
and that was the most feared woman in MMA up until that point. So
yeah, I think one key for Amanda is something a little bit out of necessarily X's and O's. She got to respect Holly a little bit. Because what I've heard from her talking, maybe she's just doing it to build up the hype for the fight, but she's kind of dismissing Holly a little bit. And, it's easy to do that when you're coming off and knocking out Cyborg in the first round the way she did.
Honestly, to that point, too, now that you said that, her sights could still be set on Cyborg knowing she's there because supposedly Uncle Dana ruining fighters' names again, saying that Cyborg turned down a fight, and then of course Cyborg's coming out like, I didn't turn down. Like they actually tried to set up a rematch. Supposedly Dana said he does this with everybody though.
Yeah, he's pressuring fighters to take fights.
He pressures fighters in the media to take fights, but Cyborg wants that fight back. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what, like, she was like,
Amanda
I
was the
didn't
one that
turn
said
this-
she didn't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe she's piggybacking off of Dana saying, yeah, I want that fight.
Oh, Dana said that 100%, and then she's living with that. But yeah, because I think Amanda said after she beat her, like, oh yeah, she doesn't deserve to fight.
Yeah, she has to
again
wait
for
2 years or something. Yeah,
like just some weird time frame. That's been my only problem with Amanda is like that was kind of a weird time frame. But anyways, staying on track here. I mean, you could be right to that point, is because like that's in the back of her mind. She's still thinking about Cyborg, but
you got to focus on Holly.
yeah.
You can't take her light.
No, you can't. So
Otherwise, she's gonna outpoint you. She's gonna outmaneuver you, and then you might get kicked in the fucking dome.
this is probably my second favorite fight on the card.
This is my second favorite fight on the card. I'm looking forward to this. This is, to me, somewhat the main event.
Yeah, I agree with you. So before we jump into the main event, because that was a pretty good segue into going into that. What are the odds from Vegas?
This is a big odds difference for a title fight.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda is the minus 335 favorite, and Holly Holm is a plus 275 underdog.
Yeah, that's I mean, safe for when John Jones is fighting, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
I don't think we necessarily said who we're picking, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm actually going a little bit safer on this one. I think Amanda does get the job done. Kind of piggybacking off of what you said earlier, Holly Holmes always kind of came up short a little bit, except for against Ronda in these big moments. I think Holly Holm will have a lot of big moments in this fight, but I think at the end, Amanda will pull it out.
Honestly, I'm actually going with you on that. Like, if we look at some of Holly's last few losses, they're in titles. Like when she fought Cyborg, when she fought Jermaine Durandamy, she lost to her, even though that was a close fight, and Jermaine should have got a few points taken away for her after the bell shots there. That was ridiculous. She lost to Valentina, and then she lost her belt to Miesha Tate. So, I mean, she's lost in those title fights. I just don't see her coming up. I just don't know. I don't think that she'll come up here unless she wears Amanda down and she shows that evolution in her game.
I think unless Amanda takes her lightly, I don't see Holly really getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to say there won't be. I think it would be really competitive, but I just see Amanda edging her out in some way, whether she finishes her or not.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. So good catch though on that one. If you're watching us on Twitch, you better be voting on.
Let us know.
Polls. We're gonna have to check that out. But anyway,
what you think.
Sean, roll us into the main event.
The third most interesting fight on the card. We're kind of building downwards. It's unfortunate. John Jones taking on Thiago Marietta Santos. The 185er moving up to 205. Well, he has moved up to 205. He is a power puncher, big knockout guy. A lot like his last fight to me. This is basically this running it back from what he just did in March.
Yeah, I know, against Anthony Smith. I mean, you're fighting relatively the same fighter. I just don't see much that he's going to offer.
To me, Thiago Santos has come out and said, I'm not going to do what Anthony Smith did. I'm going to go forward. That is so much easier said than done when you're fighting John Jones. When he starts doing those elliptical kicks, he's got the long range. He starts threatening with that wrestling. He puts you up against that cage. You know, his cardio's there. He ain't slowing down. You are a little bit. You're starting to think to yourself, oh, shit, am I getting tired? My arms are getting a little heavy. My legs are getting a little bit dead. John doesn't seem to be getting tired. You start panicking a little bit. Your corner starts panicking a little bit. And the next thing you know, you're fucked.
You got my heart racing. I'm feeling anxiety right now from that because I pictured it. It. That's what
you put yourself in that position. That's what, I try to put you in that position.
Yeah, so I agree with you 100%. I think that Thiago Santos just doesn't offer anything different than Anthony Smith offers, except for maybe a little bit harder right. So I don't know. I think the interesting thing here is this that people are not talking about yet, but you will see soon, is that this might be the oblique kick marathon fight of the year. Because Thiago Santos loves that too.
It's going to start off as that, and then he's going to get wrestle fucked. Yeah. He's going to know what it's like to be loved by a man.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was pretty funny. Like, especially if you go back and watch Thiago Santos. I've seen that a lot from him, that he loves those oblique kicks, much like John. But I don't know. I actually, if there's anything, I'm kind of hoping that Thiago Santos shows some of his capoeira flair. Some of those wheel kicks and, big like.
Better do it early.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he'll have to do those late. I mean, I guess he probably can't do those late. But anyways.
By the mid to late second round, his legs are going to be wiped out.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to be a non-factor.
Dude, he doesn't offer him anything. He doesn't offer John Jones anything different than he's seen already. I mean, this is literally a fight that's going to be about the puncher's chance.
This is basically John saying, I want to fight 4 times a year in a 24-month period. And they're like, well, we need a big headliner for fight or International Fight Week. Here you go, John.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck him up.
Thiago Santos has had a good run. He, since he's come back up, he's been reinvigorated at light heavyweight. I know he beat Jan, who's fighting on the card a little bit earlier before this. But I don't know. Light heavyweights desperate for contenders right now, so there's just nothing.
Unless Matt Hamill stepping in that ring, I'm not picking anybody. I'm not picking whoever John Jones is facing.
That's funny you said that. Have you seen lately?
That's why I brought it up.
Okay, go ahead. You can take it away. You can mention
Matt Hamill has kind of come out because Dana White has been getting on board with the commission about overturning John's one loss to Matt Hamill, which was a disqualification. John Jones was whooping his ass. And Matt Hamill's basically been like, well, he cheated, so I deserve a rematch. I'll whoop his ass.
And John's like, dude, he's like the only guy I've respected, and I've thought he's handled it really well in the last few years. And then all of a sudden he's coming out, and it's his only claim to fame. And I'm like, I mean, he's kind of right on that. I mean,
if you're Matt Hamill, you've been out of the UFC for a while, why not shoot your shot?
I guess so, man. But the other thing, too, is like, all right, what's your thoughts on Dana White trying to get rid of that loss?
I get it. I mean, let's be honest. We all know John's 25-0. His record's technically 24-1. We all know he's 25-0.
Yeah,
it's a formality.
I think it's
if that's the only L on his career when he retires, we all know he's undefeated.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I have zero problem. Actually, I'm a little bit for it almost, just because I don't want to see. I want to see him lose. Like if I don't necessarily want to see him lose, but if I want to see him lose, I want to see him lose. You know.
Actually, I kind of like it on there. I like that little asterisk. You know, like everybody in their career
has a little asterisk
there, and you could like.
I don't want to see his asterisk.
Conversation. You know what I mean?
I don't want to see his one asterisk though, due to a strike that a lot of fighters have said is a dumb rule.
No, it is a dumb rule, but my point is like. When you go back and talk about that, you're like, Matt, he was about to get another knockout loss. And then he got disqualified because he threw like 3 or 4 12-6 elbows in a row. Like, it's just one of those things. I just think like it makes the legend even that much greater. Like, oh, he had a loss? Who the heck beat John Jones? And you go back and you're like, actually, he didn't really beat him. I kind of like.
I disagree with you a little bit on that. I'd rather see him undefeated at this point.
Nah, screw it all.
Because
I think undefeated
you know what it is.
Because perfection is boring.
You know what's my perfect scenario? Because I thought about this, and I'm glad you brought this up. I want him to get that loss overturned. I want him to dominate Thiago Santos. I want him to go up to heavyweight to challenge Daniel Cormier. I want Cormier to win.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like,
I don't think it would happen. I think John. I don't see anybody beating John, but.
Because my thing is, like, even if Daniel Cormier beats him, John Jones beat him twice at this point.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, Daniel would literally need, like, a monster knockout.
How great was that second fight, though? How great did DC look before he got kicked in the head?
No, he does. And trust me, like, I would love to say, like, DC looked great. But at the end of the day, he still got knocked out.
You know what just kills you about that rivalry is that DC has all the tools to beat him. He doesn't have the height.
Oh, I know.
He has the one thing that he just can't get.
Yeah, he's like 5'10", I think.
Yeah.
DC, he's just like he's a solid size.
He's got the boxing. He's got the wrestling to negate that.
His boxing looked incredible against John Jones.
That's the first time. It's looked elite since then.
Yeah.
But he's got the
especially when he knocks out Stipe.
Yeah, he's got the striking. He's got the striking and the wrestling to negate everything John does.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the height.
No, he doesn't.
He just doesn't have the height.
He's 5'10". He doesn't have that reach. John Jones has a freakishly long reach.
It's like, if you believe in God, what kind of sick, twisted motherfucker gives us... He's like, all right, we're going to give you John Jones, the greatest talent that the sport has ever seen, and his one rival is going to be 5'10". 6'4" against 5'10". He's going to have all the tools. He's going to match him almost evenly. He's going to be short. He's going to be a short, chubby dude who loves fried chicken. It's like, God damn it.
And that's why he made the move up to to heavyweight, so that way he didn't have to cut that weight anymore.
Yeah, funny story about that is Joe Rogan knew he was moving up to heavyweight when he saw him eating potato chips during when they were announcing fights together. He's like, he used to eat potato chips while we're during break. I'm like, dude, you're a world champion.
Joe Rogan's something else. But anyways, back to this fight, man. Let's just roll back to Thiago Santos' last fight. So he lost, I think, at light or middleweight to David Branch, which isn't a bad loss. David Branch is a good fighter.
Beat Anthony Smith.
Yeah, he did beat Anthony Smith, funny enough.
Knocked him out.
But then he makes the jump to light heavyweight. He beat Eric Anders, which is a solid win, especially by TKO. Jimmy Manua by knockout.
Knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah, and then he beat Jan in his last fight. So, I mean, he has beat a good set of guys at light heavyweight. But again, if he doesn't... John Jones hasn't been knocked out. He has a chin. Like, we saw that against Gus.
So against Gus, Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort.
The other problem I see with Santos, though, is like he flings that hook and he throws himself off balance, though. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem because a guy like John Jones is going to capitalize on that. Like, Santos throws those hooks with such ferocity that he throws himself off balance and he'll turn his back a little bit. So he can't do that against John. He'll get a foot to the face because John loves those front kicks.
He'll get thrown over his head.
Exactly. I was going to say, or he's going to get a Jones on his back. Yeah. So it's going to be one of those two things, man. And so I would like to see.
Then he's going to have every white guy's worst nightmare, a 6'4", 205-pound black man dominating him.
The shit you say today. Oh my god.
Top 5 worst nightmare for every white guy. Let's be honest here.
All right, we're gonna roll on. So let's capitalize. Let's talk about this fight. Who do you see winning? I know this at this point. Like it's just.
Do we ask?
Yes, we have to.
John,
we have to just make it official.
John dominates 5 rounds, moves on to fight Luke Rockhold, kicks the fuck out of him. He loves fighting AKA fighters. We know that.
Yeah.
He's gonna hold the AKA belt over his head after he fights Luke, and then he's going to fight Johnny Walker.
Yeah, that would be
end of the year.
Interesting. So, in reality, I'm going to go with John, but to make this fun, I'm going to go with Thiago. I'm going to say he's going to knock him out. He's going to throw an oblique kick, follow that up with a left hook, and put him on his ass. And he's going to finish him that way.
I know you don't believe that.
I don't believe that whatsoever. But I wanted to. We were keeping up a trend of, like, for the most part, voting against each other.
It just didn't feel real.
I know. It didn't, did it? All right.
I feel like you sold out. You sold out for our fans.
No, I'm going with John. I know. I almost pulled, like, a Skip Bayless there. Like, just saying some crap just to say some crap. No, John Jones is going to... It's going to be a decision. It's going to be a 5-round...
I think he finishes him. I think he submits him.
Really? You think he's going to submit him, huh?
I think he'll tire him out. I think Thiago will quit.
Thiago's not going to burn enough energy because I don't see him blitzing enough.
He doesn't have to do it. John will burn the energy for him.
Not with the oblique kicks. I think he's going to do the same thing he did to Anthony Smith. He's going to play a smart game. He's going to burn him out, and he's going to win a decision.
I think he'll be able to get him down, and Thiago eventually will realize he has nothing to offer in this fight. Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
John, he'll give him his back. John will take it.
Fair enough. All right, so what does Vegas say, though?
Vegas agrees with me. Not
about
you.
The submissions.
Not your fake ass. John's a -600 favorite. Thiago's a plus 450. So
at this point, you only see these odds with John Jones.
Yeah, unless somebody's stepping in short notice against a top level fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you don't see this against any other top level matchup.
No,
I mean, it is just John Jones and then everybody else, which will bring up the GOAT conversation here in a minute that you alluded to earlier, but. Yeah, John Jones being the -600 to Thiago's plus 450. I mean, you don't see that separation of odds consistently except for with John Jones. That's how damn good he is. Does he make the jump to heavyweight after Cormier retires?
He should. He should make it before Cormier retires because even though he's beat him 2 times, Cormier's shown that he's the best heavyweight in the world, I think.
Mm-hmm. Cormier wants
If he beats Stipe, John has to fight him at heavyweight, I think.
Yeah.
To kind of... Not necessarily to solidify anything for John, but I think he has to do it to take away from DC because DC is his one rival, and anything DC has, he wants.
Yeah, And I think the other thing too, though, to your point is, I think that would leave an even bigger mark if John Jones at the end of this can say, "I beat you 3 times
At 2 different weights.
at 2 different weights. Like I went up to your weight and still beat you."
Yeah.
John Jones looks massive, by the way. Have you seen some of his new Twitter pics lately? He looks huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still getting some of those residual pulses from his
Those picograms?
past. Yeah, those picograms. But damn, he looks big, man.
Picograms have a bigger effect than people think.
Apparently, he's starting to look like
No, but
Overeem.
just from getting to know John, I don't know him personally, obviously, but just from what everybody's kind of gotten to know about him over the years, he wants to take that heavyweight belt from DC.
Oh, 100%.
He doesn't want DC to have anything that doesn't have John's name attached to it.
Well, I mean, because the thing is, if he fights Rockhold, he's going to finish Rockhold. I think the only other good contender, and it might be a little too early, is Johnny Walker. But again, he might be fighting Walker before Walker hits his prime.
Yeah.
Which is funny to say because he's knocking people out right now. But I still, I think it's still...
It's hard. It's hard to tell, man.
It's hard to tell, exactly. Darren Till's one of those guys. He was rushed into the spotlight.
He was rushed just a little, like 1 or 2 fights too early.
Exactly. So, I don't know. We'll see in that regard. But I think then there's nothing left for him at light heavyweight, assuming he gets by Johnny Walker and he gets by Luke Rockhold.
He gets by Luke Rockhold, Johnny Walker, and let's say he does beat Daniel Cormier at heavyweight, he might as well retire.
At that point, yeah.
What's left? What do you have left for him?
Nagano at heavyweight.
He dominates Nagano.
And Stipe. I'm just saying, would you not want to see those matchups if he moves up to heavyweight? Would you not want to see that?
I would 100% watch the Ngannou fight just to see if Ngannou throws an absolute hammer.
Yeah.
But if you're going to ask me to bet money on it, I'm always betting on John.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying that John's going to lose. I wouldn't bet against him either. But the thrill of that fight.
Actually, now that I think about it, Ngannou has the more intrigue because it's robbed. He robbed. I should say he. Well, yeah, he did rob us of the Anthony Johnson fight.
John yeah.
So Ngannou would be a consolation prize for that. So.
That's true. Fair enough. Yeah, I know. I miss watching that dude fight. But anyway, so. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're both picking John. Vegas is definitely picking John.
Everyone but Brazil is picking John.
I don't know, even Brazil. They've looked pretty disappointed in their last few cards that they've had down there in Brazil. Yeah.
Sorry, Marita.
Yeah.
Marita? Is that how you say it? Marita?
Marita.
I think it's hammer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. But anyways, let's get into the GOAT conversation real quick before we sign off here.
Oh, yeah, because we talked about...
We kind of alluded to that earlier, so I just wanted to kind of make a mention.
Is Amanda... All right, because obviously she's a women's GOAT, obviously at this point right now. But in terms of full MMA, broad scale, is she GOAT status with a win over Holly?
So here's the thing.
I say yes, but I'll let you go.
I was going to say it depends on how you look at it. If you look at more popular sports like the NFL, and basketball mostly. Actually, I'll just leave it to those two because you don't see it as much in baseball. People care about rings that you have on your fingers, right? The more rings that you have, the better. That's not to say that John Jones, because obviously he has a ton of title defenses, but he also did have a lapse in time where he got nice. Moving that mic too much, you fidgety SOP.
Technical difficulties.
I'll keep it rolling here. Anyways. But if you look at it, that's not to say because John Jones obviously has had a ton of title defenses, but when you look at it, Amanda is a 2-weight division champ between 145 and 135, and especially if she solidifies that by defending her 135 again, and then if she goes up and defends her 145 again, I mean, you're looking at someone that's defending 2 different weights. Moving up and down, fighting the best of the best at both weights. But I mean, then again, John Jones has fought the best of the best at light heavyweight for a long time. He's beat everybody. He's cleaned out the division.
John's obviously the male GOAT. Amanda's right next to him in terms of the broad scale, especially if she beats Holly. Well, I should say if she beats Holly, because what other woman is there?
Oh, nobody at that point.
She beat Ronda. She beat Cyborg. She beat Holly. She beat Kat.
Beat Valentina. Yeah, who's going to look fantastic at 125 pounds, just destroying
She beat everyone.
else.
If she beats Holly, she's beaten every woman there is to beat. There's no woman left.
Who is John Jones not beat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of light heavyweight, he beat all the light heavyweight legends.
See, this is where I like...
Except Chuck.
But see, this is where I like the asterisks coming in. Because this is... now, like we talked about...
John didn't beat Matt Hamill.
No, but the asterisk I was going to mention is him getting busted for anabolic substances. Because we've seen how Dillashaw's career has just...
skyrocketed.
It skyrocketed.
It
changed him. And then guess what? He is plummeting right now with his fans because people... He was clearly caught. They say that he's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And they said that that's not even the only supplement that he's taking. And at this point, like, if you look back, Cody Garbrandt called him out years ago for this.
The first time they fought.
Yeah, for the exact supplement that he got busted for. Mm-hmm. And people have been saying that that's not the only thing he takes. Like, he takes a stack. And when people, like, in the bodybuilding world refer to a stack, it's like multiple substances that you're taking
it's not something that you just take by itself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, you can obviously, but people stack for the best
but somebody that's in that kind of line of work would just take that.
Exactly. So this is where it throws in. But the argument there is people are like, well, even if John Jones didn't take that stuff, like he still has the technical ability to, because he doesn't knock people out flat. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't one punch clean anybody up.
He hasn't shown the explosive ability
that the usual PED users show,
like a Thiago Santos.
Yeah,
not saying that he takes anything.
Sorry, like a Vitor Belfort, TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like a knockout ability.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know. That's where I like the asterisks coming in because it just creates a conversation, amongst people. Like
it's not a perfect world.
No, it's not, and that's where you ask.
It's always going to be a conversation. There's no Michael Jordan-esque. Except for Khabib. If Khabib continues on the trend that he's on, he, to me, is the only Michael Jordan-esque athlete in MMA.
Because the other thing, on the flip side, Amanda's beat everybody, but she also has 4 losses on her record. Whereas John Jones has 1 that's an asterisk, as we discussed earlier, so we won't go over. She also has 4 losses on her record.
She does.
So she has a little over 20 fights total in MMA. I mean, not that 4 losses is bad, especially when you look at her wins and stuff like that.
MMA is not as brutal as boxing in terms of losses.
Yeah, so I love the conversation, but if you had to choose
it's definitely a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
If I had to choose one, I'm picking John.
Yeah, if you had to choose one, I would say the same thing, and it's given...
In terms of overall skill level, if you don't say John's the greatest talent that's ever stepped in that octagon, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of how you feel about the guy outside the cage, I know that you and I have a certain way that we feel about him.
We have mixed
outside
feelings
of the
about
cage.
John.
But I agree with you because he's a great all-around fighter. I don't know why he took supplements because I don't think he ever needed it.
He never needed them.
He never needed them.
They didn't give him necessarily the edge that you think that they would.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna go with it.
So maybe he did have tainted supplements.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he did because he never needed them for sure.
You can argue he's gotten big though. He's gotten sizable.
He was doing a lot of powerlifting too.
And yeah,
there was a lot of videos.
It's usually powerlifting and putting on sizes associated because it's hard for guys with him. They have to. Their caloric intake is huge. Like the deficit that they have after like the workouts that he would do, he would. He probably easily burns 2,000 or 3,000 calories a day between if he's working a full day of MMA and he's powerlifting. I mean that's. Just one, I think it's about an hour of jogging. If you keep up about a 9-10 minute pace, is probably about 1,000 calories, depending on your. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. So you just consider that he's doing MMA training for that long. Yeah, I don't know. It would be hard for him to put on weight, and he's put on quite a bit. But anyways, so that was my thought. But I will go with John. It's an exciting fight next weekend. Great card.
Should be a fun card.
July 6th. It's in Vegas. Big stage, so it's an exciting card. Can't wait to see it, and then follow up and talk about it.
So I guess the next time we'll see you guys is Sunday next week.
Sunday,
July
7th, right? Yeah, because it's the 6th. So good. But anyways, everybody, thank you for tuning in. As usual, just check us out on all our channels if you want to watch us on video because you like looking at our ugly mugs for some reason. We're on YouTube. We're
Maybe
on
you like
Twitch.
to make fun of us. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you watch Twitch, most people do make fun of you. So Twitch
we can take it.
Or Facebook Live, you can catch us on there. If you want to listen to the audio only, again, we're on pretty much anywhere that posts podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify. Thank you for checking out our channel. Always, anywhere you can find us at The Casuals MMA and look for our logo. It's the orange fist with a black backdrop. So everybody have a great 4th of July. Sean, anything else that you wanted to add?
Yeah, hopefully we get a Mike Perry-esque card where, going back to his interview, where hopefully there'll be blood. Somebody might bleed. Maybe somebody might just die. I took it a little too far, but...
Yeah, hope nobody dies.
13 seconds or 15 minutes. Motherfucker's going to sleep!
And that's a good way to sign off.